Welcome to the Half a Mind podcast. If your mind is messy, let's tidy it up. This is Angie Johnsey, and this is episode number 7. Are you being mistreated? Do you stay or do you go? Are you really being mistreated, or are they just not doing what your mind wants and expects? Now, if you're reading this or if you're listening to this audio version, I want you to just bear with me and open your mind. I want you to just open your mind for just a second for the possibility. I know that when we are holding on to, we're angry about something, or we feel mistreated, or we're blaming the other person, or it's really hard to reflect back inside ourselves and look inside and ask ourselves this question. I know it can be a challenge. I know it can be a challenge to get past your mind, to get past the anger, to get past I know it's not me. But if you would, just for the next 20 minutes or so, if you could just crack your mind open just a little bit, and let's just look and see what is actually happening. Let's get the facts of this situation. So let's define mistreatment. You are actually being mistreated if you are suffering physically, mentally, or emotionally. Okay, so sometimes we can think, and you may be thinking, yep, I'm definitely suffering emotionally and mentally. This is emotional abuse, or this is whatever it may be. And again, I want to ask you to take a pause, just take a step back away from your own mind, and I want you to check out how much of this mental abuse is coming from the other person involved and their mind, which is very, very possible, and how much of this emotional abuse is coming from your own mind and what it is saying about what their mind is doing. I'm going to say that again. And it can be both. You can be suffering mental and emotional abuse from their mind and from your mind. But I really want you to just take a pause here and stop and think, how much is their mind, give it a percentage, their mind is creating how much pain and suffering inside of you, how much is it's actually their mind doing this to you, or how much is it your mind talking about what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're not doing, what they're not saying. How much of it, what percent is that? Because that is not their mind abusing you. It's mental abuse, but it's your own mind creating the mental and emotional abuse. I hope that makes a little sense, but we all know what physical abuse looks like. That's a no-brainer. We don't have to, a black eye, bruises, you're being punched, you're being slapped, you're being pushed, you're being held down, you've been, things done to you against your will. We know what physical abuse looks like. Mental and emotional abuse, it can be a bit of a gray area for our minds, but let's try to define it. So here are a few behaviors that you should protect your mind from. Okay, so I ask you to look at the percentage, how much is coming from their mind and how much is coming from yours. While I'm talking about this, I want you to think about from their mind, out of their mouth, words they are saying to you. Name calling, bullying, emotional manipulation, such as punishing you with silence, gaslighting, which is trying to confuse your mind and make it question itself or think it's crazy or misreading things. And their mind is attacking, their mind is blaming, their mind and their words, what there is actually coming from their mouth is shaming or guilting. Or there are other things, but those are the main ones. Now I want to go through that list again, and I want you to ask this of your own mind, okay? So we can see where most of the mental and emotional abuse is coming from. Is it them, or is it your own mind? Your own mind is inside your head. The voice inside your head is calling you names, bullying you, manipulating you, punishing you. Probably not punishing you with silence. That's not something our mind would do, but it can punish you in other ways. It can attack you, blame you, shame you, guilt you, and you've all heard those dialogues inside of your mind. So really give that some thought. Both cases are mental abuse and emotional abuse. One is coming from outside of you, from another mind saying these things to you, and one is coming from your own mind saying these things to you inside your head. This type of behavior is, now we're going back to talking about their mind. This is coming from them. This type of behavior is their little mind trying to get its own needs met by you, by using every trick and game it can think of. It wants to feel a certain way, and by doing these behaviors to your mind, it gets its needs met or tries to get them met while your little mind is being abused. Now, this is not okay. This is something that you would actually need to protect your mind from. If it is coming from them, I want you to just step back from it and recognize that if they are provoking, if they're trying to get a reaction out of you, then yes, that is their mind that is in pain, that is hurting, that is trying to get you to somehow make it feel better about itself, get you to say certain things, get you to comfort it, whatever it's trying to do, then that is, you are actually being mentally mistreated and emotionally mistreated by this other person outside of you. Okay? So that is actual mistreatment. Now, we're gonna reflect back inside ourselves and see if it's them mistreating you or if it's you mistreating you. If you resonated with, yes, they say these things to me, they do these things to me, this feels yucky, I don't know how to handle it, they get all upset and in a rage and they're attacking and I don't know what to do. If that is you, you do need to first just step back away from it and just see it for what it is, that their mind is in pain and hurting and it is not you, okay? And you can relax into that. And if you want to stay with them and support them, you can. But it will be their job to learn to meet their own needs. That is, I want to take the responsibility off of you. That is not your responsibility to do what their mind says, or else. That's not, they need to sort that out inside themselves and be able to meet their own needs. And you need, peace in your life. You need to have a place where, just like if this was happening, your own mind was attacking you, I'd be giving you the same advice. You have to separate yourself from it and protect yourself and say, you may need some safe words with this person and say, you're hurting, and they may not be even open to understand this. Hopefully they would be, but they need to understand that they need to start meeting their own needs, and to put that on you is not fair. Just even if you're their husband, their wife, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, it doesn't matter what your commitment to each other is. You're never responsible for meeting their mental and emotional needs. Sure, you love them and you want to make them feel a certain way. You want to make them feel good, and that's fine. If it's voluntary, it's fine. If it's mandatory, no, that's not okay. If that's the kind of conditional relationship you're in with their mind, you make me feel good or else, then no, that's not a healthy relationship. Now let's self-reflect and see if it is actually that person, or if it's your own mind, and your own mind is creating the mental and emotional abuse, and your own mind is creating the drama in the relationship because it's not getting its needs met from the other person. So you may have just read this or heard this and thought, oh God, I do some of these things to other people. So yes, most of us have. And why? Because our minds are trying to get their needs met from another person, and it will do whatever it takes, even if it means hurting another mind. If you are doing these behaviors to the mind of someone you love, stop. Just take some time and work with your mind. You can learn to tidy and relax your mind. That's a good place to start. I have a whole 30 lessons of a course that you can take to help do that. If another mind is doing these things to you, then protect your mind. That doesn't always mean leave them. So sometimes all it takes to protect your mind is just staying aware of what they're doing and why they're doing it. And that abusive behavior is coming from a mind in pain, in fear, in need that they are not caring for. So they're not caring for their mind. So no one is going, now this is talking to you now, okay? We're not talking about another person abusing you mentally or emotionally. We're talking about you, okay? We're talking about if this is you and you've been demanding them to make you feel a certain way, no one is going to do everything your mind wants and expects. And I know that may blow some minds out there, and I hear this a lot. But if they love me, no, that is not what love is. Love is not someone else bending over backwards, monitoring your every emotion, monitoring your every mental need, and making sure you're catered to all of the time. It's not realistic. It's not going to happen. It's exhausting. They can't actually do it. And when you start to learn to care for your own mind, you're going to realize just how exhausting it is. You're going to realize what you've been expecting them to do. When you start to take that job on yourself, you're like, wow, my mind really needs a lot. And it does. And it's okay. Sometimes genetically, we have minds that if you fall in the never satisfied category, they want to be admired, they want to be desired, they want to be praised, they just like all of that attention. So no one is going to do everything your mind wants and expects. But it doesn't mean they don't love you. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be with them. What it really means is that your mind is still looking to other people to get its needs met instead of looking to you. It may also mean that you have a mind that is never satisfied, as I mentioned before. You have that never satisfied habit that needs to be broken. If you are looking for and waiting on perfection in a relationship with another person, I'm really, really sorry to lay this out for you and disappoint you, but the reality is it doesn't exist. There is no the one that is out there that is going to see and be able to anticipate your every need, be inside your head, read your mind, say all the right words at the right time, say all the right things. It doesn't exist. You may have seen that in a movie, you may have seen that somewhere, and like, yes, they're just going to tell me how beautiful I am and admire my accomplishments and always praise me for all the good things. They're not. They have a life too. This is what the never satisfied mind has a hard time understanding, is that other person is actually a person too. They're actually a person. They actually have a mind also, with its own stuff going on, with its own needs. They actually have a world outside of you and their relationship with you. They have a lot going on in their head just like you do. And that's difficult for the never satisfied mind because it's used to being made the priority, the center of the world. It's used to that, or at some point maybe it experienced that or expected that. It may have just came into this world expecting that, and maybe your dad did that for you, or your mom would drop everything for you at, when you wanted it. And then you get married and you expect your husband or your wife to do that, and it's just not going to happen. I'm sorry, but nobody but your mama or daddy is probably ever going to make you the center of their world. And sometimes our parents don't even do that. And I think that's probably best because then we don't grow up expecting it. We don't expect that, we are just the center of the universe here. So despite what your mind tells you because of what it's seen on TV, in the movies, or it's watched as a kid, there are no perfect relationships. However, the closest you can come to that is the relationship between you and you. You are the only one who is going to love and tolerate your needy mind enough to tell it what it wants to hear, to give it what it wants to have to be satisfied. Just you. And these kind of minds usually, I don't call them never satisfied for no reason. Like, they just need more, 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 give me more. But as you start to meet your own needs, and what I mean by that is you actually, when you feel this, your mind wanting the other person to say certain things to you, to do certain things for you, you have to say, well, hey, it's me that is to do that for you. And I'm going to tell, and this sounds silly, but you actually have to talk to yourself inside your mind and praise yourself. Brag on yourself for your accomplishments. My mind falls into that never satisfied mind category habits at times, and I have to say, hey, you know what? You did an amazing job today. I have to really pat myself, just go over the top and pat myself on the back. But since I've been doing that, the need for that has become less and less and less. So don't think that you're going to have to live with this mind habit forever. This is how you break the mind habit. When you start to meet the need yourself, it starts to get what it needs. It starts to trust you. Then it starts to relax and stop needing all those things. And then it also gets a new understanding. And this is what I'm doing for you now. I'm trying to help your mind have a very different thought process than it normally does. Its normal thought process is one of expectation and high expectations. Oh my goodness, like out of the park expectations. And so once it starts to realize, hey, they're an actual person and they're not actually here on earth to serve me and make me feel good all the time. Oh, we're getting real here. Like, we're getting real, and your mind will start to accept that, and a lot of those habits will start to fade away. And what happens from that? You get to feel better. You get to feel better because when your mind is not happy, oh my gosh, it can create quite a mess and a storm and a drama and rage, and then it's attacking you and it's attacking everybody else, and it's miserable. So this is why we're doing this. This is why we're learning this. This is why we're doing this work, because I don't want you to be miserable anymore. I don't want you to be miserable in your relationships, and I don't want you to be miserable inside yourself. If you're miserable inside yourself, your relationship between you and you sucks. I'm sorry to tell you, but it just stinks. You have the worst relationship between you and you imaginable. And if you're unhappy in your relationship outside of you, first get your you and you relationship strong and solid. And then have a look at what's actually going on, what's actually being caused by this relationship outside of you. And it could be like 2% of the issue, and your own mind and your relationship between you and you can be 98% of it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I was creating all of, like, my relationship's actually okay, but because of my relationship in myself, I was creating a lot of problems that weren't even there. And your mind, I can hear it. I can hear y'all's minds now. It's like, it's them. No, I know it. I know it's them. I know it's them. You know what? Maybe it is, but just humor me and just take a minute and think, if any of this at all sounded like things your mind does, your mind thinks, your mind expects, and if it does, I'm not saying let them off the hook yet, okay? Like, I know that's hard for your mind. You can keep punishing them if you need to, but it's abuse, and you don't want to be abused, and you don't want to be the one abusing. So I ask you to just take some time for yourself and put a pause in your divorce papers, okay? And just think about what I'm saying and see if it's possible that if you just put a pause in your marriage or in your relationship that you're thinking about ditching right now, if you just put a pin in it and say, all right, I'm not going to think about that right now. Yes, it looks like a mess. It looks messy. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know if I should stay or I should go. I really don't know the answer. I'm so confused. Box that up, put it away, and say, you know what? It's not going anywhere. I can always still divorce them. I can always still leave them. There's no rush unless you've already found somebody else and you're just about to jump into another mess and create a bigger mess because you don't have your you and you relationship solid yet, okay? So put a pause in your current relationship, put a pause in your on the side relationship, and say, hey, everybody wait. Like, let's just take a minute here because I need to, like, I've got some issues inside here with my own mind that I need to take care of first. Then, and only then, will you be able to see clearly? Will you be able to make solid decisions to move forward in a clear direction, in a healthy direction? And that's what we all want, right? We don't want the movie relationship that it's a dream. It doesn't exist. We want healthy relationships, and that starts with a healthy relationship with you. So I'm going to say this last part one more time. Other people can truly love us, but they have their own little needy mind that needs cared for. No matter how much they love you, you are not the center of their world or the most important thing in their world, and you should not want to be. It's actually quite selfish and egoic of our little minds to think we should replace or come before the needs of their own little minds. It's like our minds are our children, our little inner children, and we all have them. And it's almost like you're holding hands with your little inner child, and you're walking up to this person that you're in a relationship, and they're holding hands with their own inner child, and you're just kicking their inner child out of the picture and saying, nope, it's just us. It is us, and you care for us, and you care for my little mind's needs, and that's it. Forget your own little mind's needs. I don't care about that. I'm supposed to be this. That's what you're saying. When you're saying you're supposed to be the center, you are kicking their little inner child to the curb. You might as well have, like, that's what you're doing. And when you're attacking them, you're abusing them, when you're trying to manipulate them to get them to just look at your little child, oh my God, you're basically abusing their inner child. You are abusing it. So please stop. It's actually quite selfish and egoic of our little minds to think we should replace and come before the needs of their own little minds. You do you. They need to do them. Once you both have that straight, then you can come together as two mentally and emotionally healthy human beings and hang out together, neither needing and expecting something of the other. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time for episode 8.